We could kind of, segue into, I guess, that final topic.
Mm.
Kenny and Friends, right?
Any friends pop out.
The Pop Out Show.
Yeah.
So, if you can kind of kick things off, your full opinion, what did you think of the show, its impact, any thoughts that you might have regarding it?
Yeah. So I watched it on the Amazon stream. Um Again, I didn't really care for a lot of the opening acts. Um I was just waiting for what Kendrick was gonna do. Uh I didn't know what to expect in the first place. And then I later understood, I guess, his whole idea behind this whole show, bringing together a lot of West Coast artists and Compton artists, and I guess squashing a lot of gang affiliations and Bloods and Crips and other gangs within LA and bring them all together um, to put forth some type of unification in the West Coast. So from that point of view, uh, it's nice to see, right? We don't condone gang violence or violence in general or any gang activities. So it's good to see people, whether they're Bloods or Crips or whatever other gangs they rep, coming together and showing love to one another and propping up Kendrick and everything. But at the end of the day, it's a nice little rebrand from Kendrick. Um, and from all the time I known him, I never seen him do anything like this. But uh, for him to do it off the strength of Drake, good for him. Kudos to him. Sure, it's a nice little rebrand. It'll be interesting to see what his next steps are. But overall, again, it was always going to be a theatrical show. You know what I mean? Bunch of artists, well-known West Coast artists. Um, Kendrick's performance, he performs well. He's been performing. He's been on tour, so I had expected him to perform well. Again, there were some issues throughout the performance, whether it's mic issues, or lyrics, not knowing the lyrics. A few performances got messed up with the mics and stuff like that, but um, they're definitely overhyping it south of the border as usual. Um, Like again, he performed Not Like Us 5 times. Like cool. Like we understand the impact of it. We understand the moment. We understand him bringing everyone on stage. We see Westbrook and Debo on stage dancing and all that. Like it's all fun and games and everything. I understand. It's a moment. The moment's the moment. Let them have their moment. Um, and it'll be one of those things that will go down in history for sure. Um, But yeah, it's cool. Like, the moment's the moment. I don't want to take anything away from the moment. Dope, cool. Maybe I would have a different experience if I was on the West Coast. But here being from Toronto, Canada, or Canada in general, it's cool. Something to watch. I've seen performances on Amazon Prime before. It's not something that like really blew me away, but I guess Americans have a different tone and a bias to them. And we stated this before on previous episodes in terms of the us and the US, United States.
Yeah.
We know what it is, right? We're not like the US. We understand that. Cool. Um, but good for him. Good for him to bring people together. But again, what is next for Kendrick? That is my whole thing. We see this whole rebrand off the strength of this Drake and Kendrick beef. Now, what's next from you? How do you take it to the next? How do you sustain your run? How do you, um, with all this momentum, how do you now go and say, let me drop an album or a project or whatever the case may be, not attached to hating on Drake?
Yeah, man, there's so many different directions that this whole thing can be taken into. I mean, overall, yeah, it was a good performance, right? Like it was a good show to watch. It was something to watch. It was a good show, right? But it's very obvious that it was kind of like the whole undertone of the night Yes, it was about like bringing the West together and that unity and all that stuff. But Drake was really the undertone behind it all, right?
Yeah,
We know why people were tuning in. Like, yes, it was to see Kendrick, but it was also to see Kendrick, go at Drake, right?
yeah,
And it's just crazy to think that one guy has that much of an impact
yeah,
on the entire thing. Like, it's like, damn, that many people don't like him. Like, you
yeah,
guys really have that much animosity towards one guy,
yeah,
right? So it was very interesting to see, right? And even too for a guy like DeRozan to see him up there on stage. You did a magazine cover with this guy when you were playing in Toronto. Like when you were in the city, this guy was, advocating for you to be in all-star games. You were damn near depressed when you got traded out of the city, right, for Kawhi Leonard, who, delivered us a championship, something, you failed to do in all your time here. That's fine, you can't win everything. It's okay. But at least why not stay neutral? Like I get, okay, you want to represent Compton and all that stuff, right? But for you to be dancing around and parading on the stage while the guy is calling him a kitty lover, right?
yeah.
That to me is a little bit that to me is a little bit like distasteful. And it kind of
Yeah.
shows you that like, bro, there's really in the entertainment industry, there's no such as friends, bro. Like there's really no such thing as friends.
Yeah. The optics of it is hilarious too, now that you think about it. Like what the lyrics of the song, and then you have everyone just dancing and crip walking and holding
Yeah.
hands to what they're saying in the song, and just like, what are you really doing here? Like I honestly like every day I think I'm in a Boondocks episode. Like I'm just living through a Boondocks episode. And
And
it's insane.
and then the fact that you're doing that one song, you performed it 5 times as an encore, right?
Yeah.
That literally, in a way, you're kind of suggesting that Drake gave you your biggest hit.
Yeah.
Because if you just dropped that as a standalone song, like if you just dropped it as a standalone song, no mention of Drake, nothing, it was just meant to just be a fun outside track, it wouldn't get that kind of traction that you're performing it 5 times. But the fact you started your set with Euphoria,
Yeah.
then you ended it 5 times of Not Like Us,
Yeah.
that means this is a concert sandwiched in your Drake beef, and you're just trying to like really capitalize and
On the
maximize.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah, which
That's
is
it.
fine. Hey, go get your coins, get it. But let's just be honest about what's happening here. Let's have real, honest dialogue and discourse about what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And okay, if we're gonna go back to OVO Fest when Back to Back came out, right? Um, as many times as Drake made it perform back to back in the moment, we all indulge in the moment. You know, it is what it is. We're kicking in Meek's back. Fine, sure. You know, the moment is the moment, Let people have their moment. Now, that's all fine and dandy. But now was that the highlight of Drake's career? It's a moment.
Mhm.
Definitely a moment. It's a huge moment in his career. But from there, like when was that? 2016?
That was like 20, that was summer 2015.
2015. So look where we are now, 2024. And he's still had these moments. Like he's still continuing that run from then. Will Kendrick be able to do the same? I can't say he will be able to if he's not attaching himself to Drake.
Yeah,
This is the funny thing in hindsight of all this. Like after this dies down, it just Kendrick is just disappear as the boogeyman.
yeah, like
You
what
know what I
comes
mean?
next? Like where do you go from here? Like it's like, okay, you got this, you're getting a moment out of it.
This is a ceiling.
But it's like what comes next for you? Like I really think that it's kind of a short-sighted approach, no pun intended, but I think it's kind of like a short-sighted approach that's really being taken, right?
Yeah.
And to be honest, out of all of these guys, and I've said this on previous episodes, out of all of these guys, I think The Weeknd's the only one who has a legitimate gripe with him,
Hmm.
right? And he's the only one who's gonna have a sustainable career filled with longevity out of all of these guys. Because number one, he's not even in the genre. Number two, he doesn't make his money off of like beef and stuff like that. He can actually make hits.
Yeah.
So he'll be fine afterwards. But the rest of these guys, what are they gonna do?
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. Kendrick, again, everything prior to this beef, like he's had a lot of success. He's Grammy nominated, Pulitzer Prize winner, yada yada yada. Sure, he's a great artist, but I just don't see the sustainability. It come from him disappearing and then coming back. Then I was like, oh, Kendrick back. Like, oh, let's listen to his music, but run it up. And that's that. You know what I mean? Like, he can't stand out here 10 toes down and continue to put out music and for it to, whether it's a number game or stay relevant or come out with a hit, he can't do that with, like Drake did. Drake has been 10 toes down, getting this, going at it with Kanye, going at it with Pusha, going at it with Kendrick, Meek, and he's still here,
Yeah,
taking all the body blows and he's pushing. So
100%.
when Drake wants to pop back out, when everything dies down, we're all gonna listen. There's gonna be haters. There's always haters. It is what it is. Nothing we can do about that. But he's still gonna come out with a bop and an anthem, and we're all gonna listen. And it's all gonna do numbers, and he's still gonna be well off. You know what I mean? Kendrick, I don't know if I can say the same for him.
And the thing is, yeah, and like the thing is too, these people, like even the people that are kind of like egging him on and like encouraging this, they just want to watch a show, right? Like
Yeah,
it's interesting. You're performing a song called Not Like Us, but then everyone, majority of people in the audience are not black.
yeah,
So
but yeah, a lot of white people in the crowd.
yeah,
Yeah,
there was whites, there was Mexicans, a lot of non-blacks that were in the audience, right? And you have them singing this song Not Like Us against a guy who's black. So it's a very weird, strange dynamic that's going on. But if Drake announces a concert of his own, people will show up, they'll attend. If he
yep,
performs Family Matters, that
yeah,
same crowd will be screaming. I heard one of them little kids might be Dave Freeze, and they're gonna go
yeah,
crazy on the Freeze.
100%,
Yeah, like they don't
100%.
like. I think people are really being disingenuous. They don't actually care. They just want to see a circus. They just want to see.
Yeah, it's trendy. You know how we
Yeah, that's
operate in
all it
this.
is.
They just want to be able to say, I was there. I want talk on the moment. This happened,
Yeah.
that happened, report on it. That's it. That's it. We know we're in a generation where it's all about the trends and what's trendy and what happened and all that.
Yeah,
Just so
like
they
bro,
can
like
report on it.
yeah, and like it reminds you of a story. So when I went to like when I was in school, right, at York, they brought Nas for a concert. So at the beginning of the school year, they would always have like a different artist. So at one
Yeah.
particular time it was Nas, and I remember I went. And obviously this guy has a lot of classics. He has a lot of hits in his catalog. Bro, everyone in the audience kept screaming, perform Ether, do Ether, do Ether, do Ether.
Yeah.
Like, was Ether a big track? Yes, it was. Is that the biggest track in his catalog? No, it's not.
Hmm.
But people just want that circus. They just want something to see, right? And then I remember he kind of made a joke. He's like, yo, man, you guys are trying to get me in trouble. I already got out of that situation. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to go back. Like he was making a little joke about it, right?
Hmm.
Because that's all people just want that drama. They want, like you said, they want that headline. They just want to say that, oh, I was there, I saw it. And this whole beef, bro, it really opened my eyes to a lot of things, right? It kind of taught me that, a lot of people are it's very rare to come across really good friends,
Yeah.
right? Especially once you get to that industry, there's no such thing as like good friends.
Yeah.
Number two, it taught me how fickle people are, right? I guarantee you many people Spotify Wrapped end of the year, Drake will be higher placed than Kendrick. But
Yes.
the
And
way
that's gonna be hilarious at the end of the day.
but
It's
the
gonna
way
be hilarious. We're not gonna see a Kendrick anywhere.
yeah, so it's gonna be very laughable when that comes out. And then also too, really, it just showed me that, you know, the different approaches to how to do things, right? So Drake is the guy that he's always there and he's always he's always there to give us music, right? To the point where we actually kind of take it for granted that like, oh, we
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
expect it. We expect it, right?
Yeah.
And then Kendrick, he puts something out, he disappears for a while. He teases a little like loose song here and there, and then he comes back, then he disappears. And then it kind of creates that little mystique around him, right? And it's almost like, you know, in dating, when there's that guy who's always available versus a
Yeah,
guy who's not there as much, the girl's always more intrigued by the guy who seems busier than the
yeah,
guy who's always there, available, ready to go, right? So it's the same thing, it's psychology. And then we've been seeing Drake win for so long
hmm
that
yeah,
it's just like, okay, his life just seems so perfect and
yeah. The Brady
our,
effect, the
yeah,
Mahomes
and then
effect, the Kobe effect. Yeah,
yeah, and it's like, okay, like, you know, he's winning so much, we're not winning that much, and people start to get that resentment, right?
yeah,
And I think that's where a lot of this stems from. So I think there's something that was very underlying that was happening that just kind of reached the surface now. And it's really all coming out. If I
yeah,
was Drake, right, I personally would just stop for a little bit.
yeah,
But you see, that's just only to kind of say, like, yo, this is how you guys are gonna switch up on me, then F you guys, right?
yeah,
But at the same time, if he does that, it's gonna look like, oh, he took an L to Kendrick, he has to tuck his tail. So it's
yeah,
not he's not in an easy spot either.
yeah.
But just out of the fact that you guys are speaking about me like this, you guys turned on me like this, I'm out.
hmm
Just for a little
yeah.
bit. But
Well, the good thing that I that Drake's doing is he's still living and showing it. Like he's not hiding. It's not like he's going ghost. He deleted his Instagram. Like he's not doing all those things. Like he's still posting. Like randomly. He's moving like how he would move. Like he's not letting things like bother him. And I'm sure he's not even like ignoring it. He probably watched the show. Probably watched the whole thing. Probably turned it up, had it on the big screen and everything. You know what I mean? He's a smart individual. He's gonna take it all in. He's gonna let it pro. He's gonna process it, and then when it's time, he'll pop out.
one thing about him, and I don't know if it's a good thing or if it's a flaw in his character, I don't know. But I find that he's someone who I think he's a forgiving guy. I think sometimes he might be too forgiving, right?
Mm.
Because
Yeah,
like,
you've seen it. We've seen it.
yeah, like because I seen like even on IG, he's still technically following Kendrick, but like
Yeah.
why? Right? So I like it's like, yeah, you could be following him maybe because you want to try to see if you can get some kind of like ammo on him or try to see
hmm
what you can like dig up and find,
Yeah.
right? But it's like I could see a scenario where like if these guys were eventually to like, you know, reach out to him and try to piece it up, he would say, yo, okay, I'm cool with that.
I mean, you're not wrong. We've seen it with Meek, but I feel like this is a different situation.
Hmm.
But again, history can repeat itself. So it's not something that we've never seen it before. We've seen
Hmm.
it time and time again, and we've seen it with the weekend too, right? We've seen them in the reminder video. We've seen them like slowly
Yeah.
like rebuild their friendship, and now it's back to being finished. So I can't see it at this scenario because it was too big. Like
Yeah.
it was Kendrick and too big of an artist. Kendrick, the way he went with it, I just there's no
Yeah.
way where I
That
can see them
Yeah, because yeah, he kind of
rekindling
yeah, he was kind of he crossed a lot of lines, right?
for sure.
That's why like with the whole Weekend and Drake thing, I'm not really picking a side or anything because I they're two of my favorite artists, right? And
hmm
I respect a lot of both of these guys and what they've done in their careers, what they've done for the city. So I have a lot of love and respect for both of them. And then number two, like my philosophy is always when two people who know each other, you know, have differences you stay out of it because
hmm
at the end of the day, they'll eventually find a way amongst themselves to figure it out. And then you're going to get caught looking like a fool for having to try to pick sides and saying something about either one. So I say they're two grown men, let them deal with it amongst themselves, right?
Yeah,
And like, but yeah, with the Kendrick thing, I think that one might be too far gone. But then at the same time, he's still following the guy on IG, bro. Like,
but the thing is with that, you don't want to be too reactive as well. You know what I mean? Because if Drake unfollows Kendrick, whatever, now then you know why. But still, it's like, oh, they're gonna look at it like, oh, look, the show made him unfollow Kendrick or blah 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 blah. They'll find a way to spin it, right? And
mhm.
Drake's not gonna give you that. Like, he doesn't act super reactive outside of when it's wartime. You know what I mean? When it's wartime, he's gonna react. But like, and he is petty, but his pettiness is more methodical than just like an unfollow or whatever the case may be, right? On social media games or Twitter fingers and stuff like that. Like he's very methodical in his approach. So I just don't feel like it's necessary for him to like be that petty person and be like, oh, let me unfollow this guy. You know what I mean? So I see what you mean for sure. But no, I just don't think I just think he's a methodical in his pettiness, and he's gonna. I'm still here. He's not gonna hide. He's not gonna duck away. He's not gonna be like unfollow me. I don't want to see your content. He's like, I'll see it. I
Mhm.
want to see it. Like
Yeah.
I want to know what you're doing. Like I'm
Mhm.
here. Like like you might have won the battle, but I'm not going nowhere.
And
Like,
even that whole idea of winning the battle, I don't even think I don't think Kendrick won, in my personal
mm,
opinion. Right? I think right now the popularity and I think the popularity is on his side and the
yeah,
mainstream media is on his side.
yeah,
But to
then
me,
yeah, yeah,
that doesn't really equate to winning the battle, right? In terms of like the best music came from Drake's side.
yeah.
Like Not Like Us was the only really good song that Kendrick put out in this whole thing.
Hmm.
To me, Family Matters and Push Ups were incredible songs,
Yeah.
right? And also too, I think lyrically, the stuff that he was saying was very vicious. And I
Hmm.
think he was able to take Kendrick's points and then counteract what he was saying, right? And even
Yeah.
Part 6, like we're gonna look back years from now and say, yo, this was actually a crazy diss track.
Oh, 100%.
It
100%.
just we're
It
gonna
just,
look
yeah, the
we're
media has
look
taken over the whole narrative,
uh,
so there's no point of us even rehashing
no. But once
like Drake's
time
points.
but once enough time has been removed from this whole situation and people go back and they revisit Family Matters and they revisit, Heart Part 6, they're
Yeah.
gonna say like, yo, this guy was actually saying something. He addressed everything that was being tossed at him.
Yeah.
Right. But the fanfare and everything has to kind of go down a bit. But yeah, I thought like overall, yeah, it was a good concert. It was cool, but I couldn't help but notice like, Drake was really the underlying theme behind the
Yeah.
whole thing. So
Yeah. Exactly. So and then interesting your story back at York. It'll be interesting 10 years from now if it's like play not like us, play not like us. As Kendrick's like his now, that's his stamp on him. It's just, it's like, oh, when you diss Drake, like,
Mhm.
that's the highlight of your career.
Yeah, and uh, is that something that you want to like hang your head on? Like say like, yeah, my song about another dude is the best song that I ever made. Like that's the one that people appreciate most. Like imagine, right? Like your whole career you try to make, thought-provoking, thoughtful
Yeah,
music.
yeah, exactly.
And then the one where I'm calling this guy a kitty lover is the one that I'm most remembered by, right?
Yeah,
I won a Pulitzer Prize, but you guys remember me for this.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah. I
that's
don't know. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't look
yeah,
right,
like
right? I thought you were the activist,
yeah.
the one, the poetic justice.
Yeah, hey. So hey, whatever helps you sleep at night, you know what I mean? Like, but I think you make a good point there with that one.
Yeah. So again, a lot to is still to be revealed. There is a music video that was shot, I believe, after the show. So we'll see what he does with that, and
Yeah.
then there's
But
more to be revealed, right, throughout the
yeah.
summer.
I mean, so I'm just gonna end off on this note because I gotta say this, right? Because I always thought that Drake and LeBron were friends.
Hmm.
And then this guy's at the concert rapping along saying, what does OVO stand for? The other vaginal option. And the cameras actually caught him rapping that part and dancing to it, right? So if I'm Drake, I'm gonna start looking at him sideways. I'm looking at all these dudes sideways now. It's like,
Yeah.
damn, there's really no friends in the industry, bro, because they all turned on him.
Yeah, but he always hinted at all of this, right? We just never knew what it was about. We didn't know who it was about, but he's always mentioned it in his lyrics, in his songs. And at the time we just took it for what it was, but in hindsight, it all came to fruition.
It's
Um,
true.
So again, I think Drake is fine in terms of his people, his crew, his circle. So I think he'll be fine. Again, he's always tried to reach out his hand to others to amplify them, and he just no longer has to do that. He can just
Yeah.
focus on himself.
Let him announce a surprise tour tomorrow. That shit will sell out in seconds, bro. Like it's in
Anything
minutes.
he does will sell out.
Yeah. All this Drake hate to me is very forced and it's just very it's a fad right now. It's the cool thing.
Yeah,
Like all fads, they come to an end, right? So,
yeah, yeah.
but on that note,